After months in limbo with Houston, Carmelo Anthony is finally on the move, sort of, if staying on your couch counts as being on the move. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Houston is sending Melo to Chicago, which will deal or waive him before the February 7th trade deadline, so he's not actually going to report there. Sources told Woj the Bulls won't immediately waive Melo because they could use him for a trade, although it could only be but only be a one-to-one trade. They can't package him with other players because the CBA is
Lots
weird.
of rules, a lot of rules.
CBA is so weird. Woj also tweeting yesterday that the Lakers are still somewhat interested in Melo, but have no plans to waive someone to create a spot for him. Zach, bottom line through all of this, where do you see Melo going from here?
Whew. I mean, if it's not the Lakers, I don't know where it's going to be. I mean, like, there are some teams, you got to look at teams who's desperate to make the playoffs, whose offense stinks, and who just kind of needs a live body. And like you start going down like Detroit.
Let me go on this, and you back me up, or you say no, it's not a good fit. But I look at a team like Portland Trailblazers with McCollum and Dame Lillard. These guys have been pretty much just treading water over the last few years, not being able to get over that hump. You know, I think if you put a guy like Carmelo Anthony coming off of their bench and providing offense, Melo can get you 16 to 20 points coming off of their bench. They don't play that type of up-style tempo where he just catch and shoot. I think they play a style of play where you can actually go to Melo, to his strengths in the mid-post, and be a threat for them and take some of that pressure off of these two guys. Who is coming off their bench that gives them consistent scoring?
So it's interesting you bring that up because they started the year, you know, remember last year they would always have one of Dame and CJ in the game all the time. And this year they stopped doing that and going full on bench. And now they've gone back the other way because the bench kind of slumped and they had injuries. I just don't know. Well, A, are we sure he'd come off the bench for Portland? Like he's going to come off the bench behind Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Amino? And B, they're rolling. They're like the most under-the-radar good team in the league right now. I don't know that they're going to mess with the vibe. Because Melo doesn't just bring Melo. Melo brings the whole thing.
But I don't think that's true. The guys like playing with him.
Oh, yeah, the guys
do,
in Houston was like, I talked to some people in Houston. They was like, Melo was perfect. He did everything they asked him to do. He was perfect.
The locker room in New York liked him. The locker room in Houston loved him. The locker room in OKC loved him.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying he's a big Hall of Fame presence who is just.
There's a lot of media.
There's just a lot of stuff. Anytime you bring in a name like that, it's a lot of stuff.
So, Tracy, let me take you the other way. You guys are talking about teams that are competing and how he may or may not fit in there. I look at what Dwayne Wade and the season he's having. He's having a grand time. Did you see him over the weekend? He's in Chicago getting ovations. He pops up to Marquette. They give him a whole ceremony. He's got the whole family comes out, the whole thing going on. I always thought this year for Melo, his best fit would be with a developing team that maybe didn't have to win right now, or maybe wasn't even trying to win right now.
No.
Where he could be.
No, Rachel.
I'm just saying. Where he could be, again, people in the locker room like him. He could go out, take all the shots he wants. I'm not saying the Knicks per se. I'm talking about like your Orlando guys or somewhere where, or maybe even the Heat, although I don't know how that situation would have worked out financially, but I just mean that I always felt like he shouldn't have to quit basketball or not get picked up somewhere just because he is no longer a championship threat. There's still a place somewhere in the league where the value that Melo does bring, fans love him, he's still a draw. It's like Dwayne Wade in Miami, where he could be fun for the young guys to have around. He could actually play basketball and not have to maybe sit as the third deep guy on the bench. And, you know, it'd be a nice way to send him out. Why is that so bad?
Well, because if you have a team that is young like that, they want to develop their young players. They don't want Melo to come in and take that away from them.
Just a little bit here and there, though.
Jonathan Isaac needs reps in Orlando. There is no Dwayne Wade in Miami situation for him, right? I mean,
Portland
there is no.
Will be good for him with those guys.